Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angryprepper. Today we're going to talk about cyber war, the new world war. Now, we all see what's going on. So right now, the pipeline is still not back up and running. They have their contingency plan going into play. The pipeline company, they are having trucks filled with gasoline, driving them up the East Coast or wherever they need to be dropped off. That was a contingency plan. That is a backup plan. Obviously, they had that in play, and they did that pretty quickly. I think they started yesterday with this backup plan. Anyway, being that we're watching this go on, being that I did more research about cyber warfare, it is pretty ugly. It's the wild fucking west, guys. The dark web is the wild west. And should that be regulated? I don't know. I really don't know. But the federal government and all governments are on the dark web, so keep that in mind. So anyway, guys, this cyber war thing is going to get insanely out of control. Now, there are two companies that I learned about. There are probably many more, and they're legit companies. One's called Revel or Revel, and the other one's called DarkSide. These two companies develop ransomware so that they can hold companies hostage or hold their data and their operations hostage for money, whatever that is, cryptocurrency, gold, or actual dollar bills. This is what's dangerous about this is going to transition over to us sooner or later, probably sooner, right? So right now these companies are going after companies that can afford it. Big wig companies. Google probably has gotten hit when we had that outage, what was it, last year, right? The YouTube outage. Companies are getting hit on a regular. I think they're being held ransom on a regular and they're just paying it out. So these rogue dark web terrorist companies are making money doing this. Now, here's the problem. Russia right now there's a company, called DarkSide. They're in Russia. No one knows if Russia is working with them or they're an actual rogue company. Nonetheless, Russia has been proven to work with these kind of companies before in the past. So as far as DarkSide goes, no one's really sure. I'm going to assume Russia's working with them because it's fucking Russia, guys. I don't put anything past those assholes. I'm not here to, like a lot of people love, oh, Russia this. Fuck them. As far as I'm concerned, maybe we should drop a nuke on them too. But whatever. It's not the point. The point is, guys, the war is probably going to switch over to cyber warfare. And some people are like, well, it's been going on for a while. It has. The first attack was back in 1982. I forgot what the particulars were, but that was 1982, guys. And that was brought in. I forgot how that was actually established too. But I read that it was in 1982, and I tried to look it up. I couldn't find much on it. Nonetheless, guys, that was back in 1982, and that was a sign for things to come. We are in 2021 now. Technology is way fucking better than it was in 82, computer-wise. And now the attacks are more vicious, more efficient, more direct, and now they're actually making money because companies are paying them. So is the warfare going to be between countries, or is it going to be between companies or between companies, between the dark web companies and the, if you will, legit companies out here, right? This is the warfare that we're probably not ready for as preppers. Because as preppers, we're ready for a lot of things. But were we ready for this gas shortage? I wasn't. I don't have any fucking gas. My car's filled up, but that's it. Now what? Right? I can't store it. Now, a lot of people probably run into the pumps right now, filling up their jerry cans, and then storing them in their sheds or, somewhere ventilated. But then how long can that last? Now, Rogue Preparedness has a video where she talks about storing fuel. You should visit this video, especially if you're thinking about storing fuel. Guys, the warfare is going to get dangerous. And now, obviously, between nations, it could get ridiculously dangerous. Now, the crazy thing with these ransomware companies, if you will, they have a professionalism to them. They have a customer service, like I said in my last video. They actually walk these people on how to initiate their system again. Now, I think the Colonial Pipeline people are going to pay this ransom. They just are. Again, guys, this is terrorism. That's why they didn't pay. And what point do you give in? Now, obviously, do you give in when it starts affecting humans, when people start dying, or do you just stand your ground? Me personally, stand your fucking ground, because once you give in to these terrorist asshole guys, it's done. It's done. There's nothing you can do about it. These companies, guys, they have, like I said, a good customer service, and they have good communication ability. So they'll email you right away. They'll phone call you from an untraceable number, obviously. And this is how they're running a company. Now, I said in my last video, these rogue Wild West dark web terrorist groups, okay, what's stopping a smaller company who has, I hate to say this, bigger balls and goes for the gusto, right? Goes for the throat. Now, this pipeline was the gusto and the throat, but going for it is going for something a lot bigger, that's a lot more deadlier, that can cause maximal damage. Nuclear power plants. Now, I know that we are in the process of shutting a lot of them down, and this makes sense why they're shutting them down now. Do you really want someone to take a hold of a nuclear power plant and pull the cores out of the cooling tanks and then have them overheat and melt down? No. Right? So makes sense why they're shutting a lot of these down. It's probably, and some people also say, well, it's part of the whole new Green Deal, whatever. I'm not a big fan of nuclear power plants to begin with, but especially after Chernobyl, and people are like, oh, you can make them better. You can never make them better. Look at Fukushima. I watched a movie called Fukushima 50. Horrendous movie. But it told a good story of those 50 guys that stayed behind at the nuclear power plant and handled it. And I mean, it was a horrible movie because everything in the movie was yelling and screaming. Everything. The guy was like, how's your day today? I'm fine. You know how the Japanese are, like really intense. And it was all in Japanese with bad English, layover. It was horrible. But the movie gave you good insight of what was going on in that nuclear power plant. So you could watch the movie, but you'll cringe through like 90% of it because you're like, oh, why is he yelling at him? He just said, how's your day going? The guy was like, I'm fine. You know, like it was, guys, the movie, it was just like, it was intense all the way through. At least the talking was intense all the way through. There was never really like a moment they were like, oh, well, you know, how's it? Okay. No, they were just like, everything was screaming and yelling. It was really bad. And not for nothing, but Ken Watanabe, all right? Ken Watanabe, who was in The Last Samurai, he was in Inception. That guy's a decent actor, and he was in this shit movie. I was like, the fuck, dude? Fall from grace? What the hell? Now, let's get into ransomware real quick. Now, there's a lot of ransomware out there. A ton. I have to read these because I can't remember 90% of them. But these are the ones that I found because, guys, when I was looking at the Colonial Pipeline, this led me down this fucking rabbit hole of cyber war that's going on, right? So the first ransomware that I came across was called Econs. It's the first ransomware apparently custom designed to cripple industrial control systems. I think that's what happened to the Colonial Pipeline. You have one called Ragnar. You have another one called PYSA, Protect Your System Amigo. That's a legit virus, right? Then they got one called Maze. Then they got one by Revil called Sodin, or AKA Sodin Nikabi. Probably fucked that up. There's another one called Ryuk, sorry. There's one called Laka Goga. There's another one called Gand Crab, which is no longer in use. Then you have this one. This is the one that the United States and Israel are being blamed of creating. It's called the Stuxnet virus, also known as the Olympic Games. This was created to infect Iran's nuclear program. You remember back in 2010 when the Iranian centrifuge was destroyed? Well, that's because this virus made the Iranians believe that they were that their system was running fine. Meanwhile, the centrifuge was getting destroyed. So they didn't know that because they couldn't hear it, but the system was showing them that everything was easy, everything was good. You know, everything was a go. And then they found out that their centrifuge wound up being destroyed a few days later. And this took over a few months' time. And they were smart because they uploaded it to the system. It lay dormant for 20-something days. It wreaked havoc on the system, lay dormant for another 30 days. Then it started going into high gear. But actually, during the first 20-something days, it was collecting data on its runtime, how long they were running the centrifuges, how long they were cooling them off, keeping them shut down, all this other crazy shit that's way above my fucking knowledge. And then they shut down for 35 days, or lay dormant for 35 days, and then they went into high gear after 35 days. Pretty interesting virus. Very interesting. But it wasn't just the Americans and the Israelis. The French, the Germans, I think India, a lot of these countries were involved with this virus. Hence the Olympic Games. Pretty interesting name, by the way. This virus was also reportedly responsible for the Ukraine blackout in 2017. So I think I had that wrong in the last video. It was the Ukraine blackout that this virus was responsible for the blackout in the Ukraine in 2017. So again, guys, we're also playing at this war too. We know Russia's playing at this war. We know the Chinese have been playing at this war. So now we're in it too, but we've been in it for a while. I think since 2005. So guys, this is going to get uglier because now these different nations could look and be like, Chinese could be like, you know what? Fuck New York City. Let's shut down that power. Hit the electrical grid system. Boom. Keep in mind, guys, they can put these viruses in play months ago. It doesn't have to be the day they put the virus in play, they fuck with it. They could put it in play today and set it off 2 months later. And in 2 months, it's collecting data when no one's watching. Then it shuts down again for another 2-3 months. Then it goes into action and does whatever it needs to do. These are very clever people that are putting these viruses together. But this is a very interesting time because this can fuck us in the long run. Guys, again, they could shut down the electrical grid system at different cities. Forget fucking the whole nation. They want to cause panic. You start popping blackouts across America in different spots. And then you can't get that power back on for a long time. You're going to watch city burn over a couple of days. They watched us fucking burn cities down for less. So now you knock out the power, whatever cities, and watch them fall, watch them burn. That's an interesting way. Or attack the nuclear power plant and melt down that power plant, making that area inhabitable for centuries to come. Cyber war, guys, is the new fucking world war. And it's a quiet world war. Because while we are walking around, minding our business, enjoying our day, assholes wearing a mask and getting injections and people fucking, protesting for whatever given reason, we have some real serious shit going on behind the scenes. This is the new world war, guys. The cyber war. So this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching this channel. You can also like and subscribe to the Angry Truth channel. You can follow the Angry Truth on Instagram and Telegram. You can follow the Angry Prepper on Telegram, Facebook, and Instagram. Other than that, guys, thank you for watching.